Hey everybody, thanks for joining the channel today. Today I'm going to show you how to take one of these unusual looking beer cans and turn it into a very efficient, very compact, kind of cool little alcohol stove. Alright, thanks for joining me today. I'm going to take this little can here and show you how you can take any kind of oddly shaped can similar to this, or if you get them cheap enough, even one of these water bottles, and turn it into an alcohol stove. The premise being you cut off the top here, you cut off this piece and you stick this into here, and you fold it over and you drill holes right under where this piece would be in there. So the gases build up at the bottom and come out of the jets. The neat part about this stove is you don't need a pot stand for it. Once it blooms, once it starts coming out of the little jets, here's one I made kind of sloppily just to see if my concept would work. Once it starts coming out of those jets, you can take your pot and set it right on top, and the jets will burn down here, much like an oven burner, basically. So the first thing you're going to do with this, and we're going to break this into parts, so I don't show you me working on this forever at a time on each step. First thing we're going to do is cut along. I made 2 lines here. And I just took over in the corner there, you see those toolboxes. I just took them and piled them up and made a line here and a line here. I want to get this a little bit of lip here, because when I put this in, I want to be able to fold this lip over it, and you'll see when I put it together, it'll make a lot more sense. So the first thing we're going to do is take off the cap. I rinsed this out, but there's probably still some water in it. Yeah, just a little. And we're going to make our cut along here. So when that's done, I'll bring you back. All right, so I made my first cuts. Again, I tried to follow the line as best I can. It's not super imperative. I don't want people to think that these kind of projects require band saws and all this crazy expensive stuff. You can do this. What I used to make my initial plunge cut was an X-Acto knife. And since we're going to cut here, I can show you. Basically, you're just going to push in like that, cut roughly until you get enough room for the scissor, and then go in and make it neat. So there's my top right there. And again, that's going to go this way inside. And then we're going to fold over the lip. But I still have to cut off this area here because I don't want this thing like ridiculously tall. And this is a little bit taller than the previous one I made, but this is also a little bit shorter than the insert here. So we're going to cut a little below that, and I'll show you what it looks like when we're done with that part. All right, so I got that cut off pretty well. I went a little bit lower than the other stove because this part here, this lip here, is a little bit shorter. Now, don't worry about getting this perfect. I mean, the first time I did this, I was turning it over and going if it was even or not. You're not going to see that lip. You're going to basically be folding it over this here when this gets inserted. So next step is to make 4 little notches along here. And if you look inside this one, you can see it. See those little notches in the bottom all the way down in there? You want the alcohol to be able to flow into the main chamber and then pressurize and come out the sides. So I'm going to just get a file and I'm going to start doing that, and I'll bring you back when it's kind of halfway done so you can see how I did it. Alright, I think we got good enough notches up in there. And yes, I'm aware you're only supposed to pull a file, but these are cheap files and I don't really care what happens to them. They're good for little projects like this where it doesn't matter. So, again, this is so that the alcohol, when in this chamber on the inside, can flow to the outer chamber out here. And you can fill this up as high as you put your holes. So it holds a bit more alcohol. So the next step is just to press this part in, which is fairly simple. I like to tip it upside down and just kind of give it a push. And then finish it down inside like that. So once I have it all the way inside there, I'm going to fold over the sides and I'll show you what it looks like. Alright, so you see I got the inside pushed all the way in there, and you see the little holes on the bottom that I used the file for? And you'll notice I have a lip here, this little lip, the inner lip and the outer lip. To do this now, because you don't want the gas to escape through anything in here, you're just going to fold this over with your fingers. And don't worry about it looking messy. This I'll do live because it's fairly simple. Just fold it over like that, okay? Now, if you want to get fancy with it, you want to make it look pretty, what I do is I take a round object, this happens to be a magnetic screwdriver, and I'll just run it around the inside, like that, and make it smooth. Smooth it up. You can also if you don't want to do it that way, it takes a little more time to do it that way, you can also just clamp with a needle nose pliers and go neatly around the inside. So I'm going to finish this up. I'm going to make it look nice and neat and perfect because I want this to actually be one I use. And we'll go on to the next step and I'll show you how that's done. All right, so it's all nice and neat and even. You can see here where I bumped into it with the screwdriver, but no big deal, I didn't pierce anything. But it's all nice and smooth around there. So the next step is drilling your holes. Now I know some people will think, well, why didn't you drill the holes the first time? Well, the way I'm doing it here, there's a good possibility I may drill them too high or too low, because I don't really know where that centerpiece is going, because I really didn't measure all that well. So what I do is I kind of just feel. Let's see, is that movable there? Okay, that probably means that this angle is going down and I can reach in there and drill a tiny little hole. So I made a little line across it, kind of just quickly. I just used this and went around with this to show me about where I want to drill underneath. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put dots on there, and it really doesn't matter how many you do. I would prefer to do like 16 to 18, but it's not like a big deal if you do a little more or less. In other words, it will work no matter what you do, pretty much. I really just made the line there for reference, so I keep a straight line across. So I'm going to put these on here, and then we're going to drill them out. All right, this is the only part where you have to be kind of careful, because you don't want to go through this inner wall here. You just want to put a tiny little hole right where that little dot is. So let's see how careful I can be. This is my new drill, by the way. So. There. See, and I didn't go through. So basically it's a very low pressure. You want to let the drill do all the work for you. You don't want to push down and try to get a hole there. You just let the drill do it and you'll be fine. So I'm going to drill these out, then we're going to put it on a stand and test it out and see how quickly it boils water. Alright, so we got all the holes drilled. Now what I'm doing is I'm polishing this up a little bit. It isn't necessary to clean it off. To clean off the paint will eventually burn off. But you might as well make it look nice. I think it's a nice looking little stove, and there you go. The pot sits right on it, so it's even, it's level. And as you can tell, it does look a little better when you sand off the stuff. So I'm just using my drill here with a big disc of, I believe it's Brillo pad type material. And I'm going to get all that off, and when it's done, we'll test it out. Alright, so I sanded it down, I got it nice and neat. Again, not an important step. Let's get you up close so you can look at it. But if you want it to look nice, it's kind of cool. For those of you wondering, because I'm sure people will ask it, 1/16 inch drill bit was what I drilled these holes out with. So what I'm going to do now is fill it with some heat. You can use 91% rubbing alcohol, denatured alcohol from any supply store. I'm just going to fill it up, and if you can see, it's draining down into the chamber itself. You don't want to fill it up above these lines because you'll have a mess. So, let's light it up and wait for it to bloom. I'm going to try using a ferro rod without spilling. There we go. Alright, so the inside is lit, and the reason it looks a little darker in this video is because I turned off some of the lights that I normally have, so you can see the inside burning. I know this camera does not do darkness very well, but you can probably see my hand moving there, that little bit of light there. So it's going to burn in there. The alcohol will reach a boiling point, and then you'll start to see it come out of the jets on the side. So we're going to wait for that to happen, and it should take, I don't know, depending on how long the burn is, should take about maybe 2 minutes, a minute. So we'll come back once I see it's getting close to ready to go. Well, I guess I spoke too soon. I literally shut off the camera and it started blooming out of the holes. You see, you can see it on the light, in the dark I mean. See? There you go. So we're going to boil 2 cups of water with this. See how long it takes. And I'm going to make some instant coffee with it. There we go. Hopefully that's enough alcohol to boil 2 cups of water. But I think we'll be okay. So you put it on top there. Put it on there right. Okay, there we go. There we go. me bring you down a little bit so you can watch it. And I'll start my timer and we'll see how long it takes. See there? I've got, not fully rolling yet, so I'll let it wait, but we're close enough. I've got 2 minutes 50 seconds, 51, 52. We'll call it good at like 3 minutes, because that's definitely boiling by now. I'm going to call it at 3 minutes because I'm going to use this for coffee too, but you can see it's boiling. It's doing just fine. So it's a really efficient stove, and one of the reasons I like using those can type bottles for this kind of a project is because they're a little bit thicker. The aluminum in them is actually a little bit thicker. So let's do my little 3/4 of a cup of coffee here. 3/4 of a cup of, 6 ounces there on the little MRE Type 3 instant freeze-dried coffee. And I'll just let that alcohol stove burn itself out. I probably put too much alcohol in it for that because it's still going strong and it still has a good amount of alcohol left in it. So there's the instant coffee. Pour it in there. And there you go. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the show and the project. It's a very simple project to do. And again, you don't need fancy tools for this. You don't need anything really unusual or hard to make. It's a real simple project, and it saves you a ton of money if you're just getting started and being prepared and you want a little nice portable stove to stick in your bug out bag or your survival gear. I mean, something this small you could probably even use in a well ventilated house. I'm using it in my garage here with the door open and it's perfectly fine. So anyway, thanks for joining me today, and that's how you take one of those metal aluminum bottle looking type bottles and turn it into a very nice alcohol stove. Bye.